Today I'd like to talk about something a lot of us Linux users and fans used to laugh off. Malware. Yeah, that thing we always said was a Windows problem? Spoiler, it's not anymore. Linux-targeted malware has been climbing fast the last few years, and 2024-25 has been no joke. So, has Linux malware actually increased lately? Short answer, yep, big time. Back in 2023, Elastic Security Labs dropped a bit of a bombshell. 54% of all the malware infections they saw were hitting Linux systems, beating out Windows at 39%. That's the first time Linux took the top spot, and it's mostly because attackers are going after servers and cloud stuff, where the real money lives. Ransomware crews like Lockbit, Ransom Hub, and the newer ones like Gunra and Sexy now ship Linux and ESXi versions on purpose. Trend Micro said Linux ransomware jumped 62% just from 2022 to 2023, and the trend hasn't really slowed down. Why now? Follow the money, of course. Almost 90% of public cloud workloads run Linux. One compromised server can mean massive data theft or a huge ransom payout. Plus, Docker and Kubernetes exploded, so misconfigured containers are basically open doors. And speaking of open doors, there are billions of IoT devices, like Linux-based routers and gadgets, still using default passwords. And attackers love languages like Go and Rust because they can write malware once and hit every OS. How do the bad guys actually get in, though? It's rarely the drive-by junk you see on Windows. Most common ways right now are exploiting unpatched services exposed to the internet. Think of the old Apache bugs or Log4Shell type stuff. Brute forcing weak SSH passwords, still the number one way servers fail. Supply chain attacks, remember the old XZ utils near miss in 2024? Or tricking admins with phishing messages or fake updates. Some good news is that for regular desktop users, you're still way safer than Windows in most instances. Even though both Windows and Mac OS have built-in anti-malware software, while Linux distros typically do not. The vast majority of this is aimed at servers, not your Ubuntu laptop. Mac OS is even quieter, but if you're running critical infrastructure, Linux is now the biggest target in many datasets. So bottom line, Linux isn't suddenly unsafe, but the old nobody attacks Linux myth is dead. Essentially, keep everything patched, kill unnecessary services, use SSH keys instead of passwords, and maybe throw some endpoint detection on your servers. Stay safe out there. Anybody else noticed increased malware activity on Linux? Drop us a comment. So that's another video in the can. If you found this informative or interesting, please consider liking and subscribing down below. And remember, be excellent to each other.